Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. I've got a big breakdown for you on Teamfight Tactics patch 15.8, and this one's a sweet spot kind of update. Small nudges for KO Coliseum to keep things stable for competition, and a punchier set of adjustments for the revival queue with Uncharted Realms. I'll walk you through what changed, why it matters in real games, and how to turn the numbers into placements. No fluff, just clear guidance, and I'll sprinkle in a few quick plays and positioning ideas you can use right after you watch. If you're watching from ranked, this will help you decide when to push levels, when to greed, and when to slam that component you've been hovering over in panic. First, context. This is the Tactician's crown window for KO Coliseum, so Riot kept the Coliseum changes conservative on purpose. They want competitive integrity. No whiplash meta shifts a week before people play for real stakes. That means the Coliseum portion is mainly precise taps on traits, a few unit scalings, and some augments that were either too safe or too spiky for comfort. On the revival side, they went harder. Several 3-cost carries got tuned down a notch, while dragons and key traits got love, plus a couple notable augment updates to open the tree up again. If you want the raw receipts, the official notes spell it out cleanly. What I'll do is translate that into practical, you-can-feel-it advice. Let's start with the single biggest Coliseum lever, Crystal Gambit. It's been a sneaky economy button in Stage 4 lobbies, letting players convert fights into too many extra resources, so the multiplier is reduced and the kill requirements at 5 are higher. What that means for your game is you're less likely to see those I hit everything at 4-2 boards off the back of free-flowing Gambit value. If you were someone who leaned on that econ to fast 8 or fast 9, you'll feel the brakes a little. Practically, this raises the stock of honest streaking, both win and loss, because raw shop odds plus standard interest cuts are back to carrying the weight rather than trait-printed money. Expect a few more games where your tempo board matters and you can't just greed every carousel for late-game bows and swords. If you've been struggling against opponents who spike out of nowhere mid-game, this should make fights feel more fair once your fundamentals are solid. On the 2-cost front, Kai'Sa gets a gentle AD ratio bump on her spell, while Katarina's bonus cast damage per potential is shaved. The intent is obvious: bring a previously quiet carry back into relevance and cool off the top performer. For you, this means if you've got early AD items sitting on your bench, and you pair them with a Kai'Sa 2 while holding a couple of auras or attack speed enhancers, she can carry your mid-game fights more reliably than before. It's not a rewrite of her identity, it's a nudge that turns those close losses into wins when you're on a streak path. For Cat, that 1% tap is still felt in clutch moments. Assassins live and die by breakpoints. So consider whether you really need to roll deep to 3-star her in contested lobbies, or if you pivot to a more stable line at 7 when the shop won't cooperate. If you're tracking expectations, think of Kai'Sa as slightly more worth a slam, and Katarina as a hair less oppressive when your backline is on the brink. 3-cost tanks get a winner in Rammus with a healthier shield at all star levels. That does two lovely things. It buys your backline an extra second or two in those mid-game scrums, and it lets frontline itemization feel better when you don't have a legendary tank online. If you're one of those players who constantly wonders whether to commit a belt plus chain to a bramble or gargoyle on 3-2, you'll like how often Rammus pays that off now. He soaks the initial burst, keeps aggro where you want it, and you get a cleaner handoff into late game when a Jarvan or mech front takes over. Speaking of Jarvan, his shield scaling is up too, which raises the value of actually itemizing him defensively. Often players just parked him as a stun bot with crumbs. Now it's more viable to hand him a true tank set if that's what the shop gives you. The trick is recognizing boards where Jarvan's extended life gives you more total team DPS than forcing those items onto a squishier secondary front. At the 5-cost tier, Lee Sin's Juggernaut nuke loses a bit of top-end punch. He's still lethal. He's a capstone unit after all, but this change means fewer fights end on a single overkill. Practically, you'll see more rounds where good scouting and proper clumping or spreading actually rewards you rather than feeling like you lost because a single cast clipped your carry at full. If you've got the habit of moving your threats every round when there's a Lee board across the lobby, keep doing it. That habit just got a little more profitable. Augments matter a ton this patch. The devs pulled a Call to Chaos option entirely, buffed healing orbs, and trimmed Raid Boss. Removing the underpowered ranged carry variant keeps that prismatic feel consistent with the power level you expect, while healing orbs being stronger but not showing on 2-1 means you can still choose it mid-game for sustain without it front-loading early fights too hard. If you're a fundamentals player, healing orbs gets you through rough mid-game board states where your items are awkward. Think of it as a smoothing augment that's safer to click when you're not sure where your comp will end up. Meanwhile, Raid Boss losing HP tones down those Bastion lines that were a bit too unkillable. They're still viable. The ceiling is just reined in, so the augment won't paper over bad items or weak boards as easily. My advice, if you're offered Raid Boss, take it when your frontline items and trait map are already aligned. If you're scrambling, prefer flexible combat augments and keep your outs open. Radiant Kraken's Fury gets gentle nerfs to attack speed in the per attack AD game, which is subtle but influences endgame itemization trees. You might find slightly less payoff from hyper on hit setups that were abusing every extra sliver of AS. It doesn't delete the item, it just brings the gap in line so you weigh it against other Radiants more honestly. For power-ups, 2 availability thresholds shift. Star Student now wants more Battle Academia to appear, and Star Sailor wants an extra Star Guardian, while Tentacle Smash ticks faster. The net effect is you're a bit less likely to randomly stumble into certain power-ups without committing, and Tentacle users get more cadence. If you're planning around these, understand that forcing a power-up without the roster to support it is riskier. Keep your scouting sharp and be realistic about what you'll actually field at 7 and 8. Let's talk how your early and mid-game should feel. With the Stage 4 Crystal Gambit econ tapped down, the meta rewards crisp openers and cleaner streak management. If you high roll a 2-star pair early with slammable components, think belt plus chain for mid-game tank, bow plus glove for carry. You should lean into upgrading board quality and pushing level timings to protect streaks, rather than waiting for the perfect item trio that may never arrive. Selling pairs to hit interest thresholds is still a viable skill test, but stopping one shop earlier than usual to preserve HP often pays off in this environment. On the flip side, if your start is scuffed and you're bleeding, don't be afraid to roll small at 6 on 3-2 to stabilize. You can't rely on a magical Stage 4 econ bailout. You need real units on the board. In terms of carry choices, your flexible plan looks like this. If you hold early Kai'Sa with AD components, test her mid-game. She cleans up fights better now, and banking a streak there sets you up to pivot into your endgame line without hemorrhaging. If you find yourself on the Katarina path, consider the lobby. Lots of crowd control and well-protected backlines will punish you more after this tweak. Rammus frontlines let you consider slightly greedier backline items because he absorbs an extra wave of damage. It's amazing how often that translates into a full extra cast from your main DPS. And if a Jarvan shows up and you already crafted a couple of tank items, pump him and feel good about it. He's not just a utility statue anymore. Positioning got a touch more important as well. With the Lee nuke toned down and raid boss less outrageous, fights last a little longer on average. Longer fights reward the players who manage aggro cones. Don't let your main carry be the first thing a Juggernaut or Diver sees. Don't let hook units pull your Enchanter every time. Scout, mirror, and shuffle. If you're one of those players who only moves units once every 3 rounds, this is the patch to start moving every round. That 1 hex difference on a crucial round can swing a top 4 into a top 2. Now for Revival, Uncharted Realms, where the changes are more visible. Jade needs 1 more emblem at the top end, which means that game-ending Prismatic Cap isn't as easy to hit. It's still a win con, just not a free one. Swift shot scaling goes up at higher tiers, which subtly shifts the math on backline builds when you can position for extra hexes. Several 3 costs, Diana, Olaf, Volibear, Lee Sin, get trims so they don't overshadow the dragons, and then the dragons themselves get compensations that really matter once you push to higher star levels. Ida's in particular has sturdier defensive numbers across damage reduction, healing, and shielding, which is a dream for players who live for the late game fortress.